Welcome to Boring Stories, the place where time slows down and history becomes a lullaby. If you enjoy gentle stories from distant centuries, soft voices from forgotten streets, and slow lives once lived in silence, feel free to leave a sleepy comment. Or just close your eyes and drift. Tonight, your life isn't modern. There is no screen in your hand, no buzzing notifications, no glowing wires. Tonight, your walls are thick stone, your roof is red tile, and your soul belongs to Byzantium. You are not a general, or a priest, or a poet. You are simply someone who lives. Quietly. Softly. Let go now. Let yourself fall into the hush of another time. You wake before the bell rings. Not because anything startles you, but because the morning light is golden and patient, and has found its way across the city rooftops, through the worn shutters, across the clay floor, and onto your eyelids. You feel it before you open your eyes. The linen that wraps you is rough but clean, hand-woven by your cousin years ago, dyed with faded saffron. The air is neither cold nor warm, but carries that gentle chill that lives in stone buildings before the sun has finished its climb. For a long while, you do not move. You lie in stillness, breathing in the calm. The scents are faint but familiar. Old plaster, ashes from the hearth, a little rosemary hung above the window to keep away moths. Far off, a gull cries once and then vanishes. You sit up slowly. No urgency. No purpose yet. The stone floor beneath your bare feet is smooth and slightly dimpled from years of sandals, buckets, and time. There is a little clay jug by the basin, half full of water fetched yesterday from the well house near the garden walls. You wash your face with it, cupping your hands and letting the coolness spill down your cheeks. There is no mirror, only a polished piece of bronze on the far wall, dented and dulled by years of handling. Your tunic hangs on a wooden peg, the fabric soft from wear, with one stitch at the hem you keep meaning to fix. You put it on with a familiar motion, your body remembering each fold and tuck without needing to think. The shutters are open today. You left them that way the evening before, when the breeze was too sweet to shut out. Outside, the roofs of Constantinople rise like waves, tiled in red and ochre, smoke curling from chimneys, laundry already flapping from the lines strung between neighbors' windows. A cat walks along a ledge 3 stories above the street, without fear. And beyond it all, shimmering faintly in the distance, the dome of the Hagia Sophia rises like a thought that no longer needs to be spoken. You can't see its mosaics from here, but you've been inside many times. You remember the way the light falls inside it, like liquid honey, onto walls encrusted with golden saints and angels with their wings spread across eternity. But that is not where you are now. You are here, in your own modest upper room. Your home sits above a weaver's shop. Every so often, a faint thump or tug can be heard below, the wooden loom being adjusted, the creak of foot pedals, the soft talk of apprentices moving skeins of wool. You know every sound, every rhythm, even the way the stairs groan when someone takes them too quickly. Today, though, there is no rush. You've woken early. The street below is just beginning to stir. You can hear a boy calling to his mother, the bray of a donkey pulling a slow cart, the bark of a lazy dog that won't get up from its shadowed spot near the steps. You go to the little table by the wall, a slab of olive wood you polish yourself with beeswax, and sit beside it without lighting a lamp. The sun is enough. It pours across the surface like spilled gold, illuminating an old mosaic fragment propped in the corner, Saint Theodora, her eyes slightly too large, her fingers raised in blessing. You trace the outline of the tiles without touching them. Each piece is less than the size of your fingernail, each placed by hands long gone. This city, this empire, this life, it's made of pieces like that. Small, patient, silent. From the alley below, you hear sandals on stone, someone heading toward the cisterns. Perhaps, with an empty jug slung over their back. You think about water, about wine, about breakfast. But not yet. First, you sit and breathe, and let the soft weight of Byzantium settle over your shoulders like a warm cloak. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine that nothing will ever change, that the bells will never ring, that the dome will always shimmer in the distance, that the saints on your wall will always glow in gold, even when the sun forgets to rise. And for now, for this one quiet morning, that is true. There is a moment, after you have risen, and before the day has found its full shape, when the world feels both ancient and unfinished. You sit in that moment now, either hungry nor full, either busy nor still, waiting for the next warmth to come to you. The cup waits on the ledge. You prepared it last night, as you always do. A simple clay vessel with a thick rim, fired dull red and smooth to the touch, filled with a little wine, a little water, and a bundle of dried things tied gently together: cinnamon bark, anise, a clove, 2 withered slices of quince. You keep the spices wrapped in a linen scrap that smells faintly of your mother's house, that same odd mix of oil, fig resin, and something you can never name. The hearth glows dimly in the corner. You did not fully put it out last night. You never do. Embers sleep in the ash, like hidden stars. All they need is a little coaxing, a twist of kindling, a hush of breath, and the heat rises again. You kneel beside the bricks, not quickly, and not with any great effort. It's not a task, it's a rhythm. Your body already knows the movements. A few dry twigs crack, and soon a faint tongue of flame stretches upward. The wine is poured into a small bronze pot and lowered to the heat. It doesn't boil. It shouldn't. It merely warms until the scent lifts into the air, soft, spiced, dark, and sweet. While it simmers, you sit on the low stool with your robe wrapped around you. The cloth is coarse, yes, but honest. It has weight. You adjust the hem slightly over your ankles and glance toward the shutters. The light has changed. It is more golden now. The pigeons on the opposite rooftop have begun their endless pacing. Somewhere below, someone sweeps a courtyard with long, patient strokes. The wine is ready. You remove the pot, pour it slowly into your waiting cup, and hold it between both hands. Warm, heavy, steady. You do not drink it yet. You simply let the warmth sink into your fingers, up your wrists, through your chest. There is no better feeling than the first scent of it. You lift the cup to your nose, close your eyes. The steam carries with it not just spice, but memory, of quiet winters, of overheard stories by candlelight, of listening to old men argue gently over scripture in a tiled courtyard long after the sun had gone. When you finally take a sip, it is not just liquid. It is peace. The wine is thin, watered as it always is in the morning, but the spices make it full. The cinnamon curls around your tongue. The clove lingers in the back of your throat. You swallow slowly, once, then again. And for the space of a few heartbeats. There is nothing to do. No letters to write. No errands to run. No empire to worry about. Not even a fig to slice. Only this cup. And the golden light. And your quiet, unremarkable, beautiful life. The breeze shifts. It carries with it the softest hint of bread baking somewhere nearby. Someone has already stoked their own oven. Perhaps the woman 2 doors down who sells barley loaves wrapped in palm leaves. You smile at the thought, but you remain where you are. There is no reason to rise yet. The day will wait for you. You take another sip. Outside, a group of children chase each other past the alley, their voices high and fleeting. They don't linger. The sound disappears around a corner. In its place, the steady creak of a wheelbarrow. The distant toll of a brass bell. the slow flap of laundry in the wind. You drink again, slower now, eyes half-lidded, and you wonder, briefly, gently, how many mornings you have lived exactly like this, and how many more you might. But only briefly. Because thought isn't needed here. Only presence. Only breath. Only warmth. You finish the wine. You do not rush. The last sip is strongest, the clove resting at the bottom, sharp and round. You set the cup down beside you. The fire has burned down again. Let it rest. You will stir it later or not at all. You press your palms to your knees. And breathe. You are in Byzantium. And the morning is yours. You rise slowly from your stool, careful not to disturb the emptiness of the morning, and wrap your robe tighter around your body as the last of the warmth from your cup fades into your hands. The small clay vessel is set back on the ledge, not rinsed, not scrubbed, just waiting until later when the sun is higher and the day has gathered more noise. For now, it is enough to let it be. You step softly across the room, your bare feet brushing the smooth stone floor that still holds a trace of the night's coolness. You do not hurry. No one hurries at this hour unless they are merchants, soldiers, or fools. You are none of these. Your breath is steady. Your spine is straight. You are not young, not old. You are only what the morning makes you. At the threshold, you lift the wooden bar from its cradle and ease the door open with a practiced movement that causes no creak, no fuss, only the soft click of wood against wood. Outside, the air is neither warm nor cold. It is precisely as it should be. The scent of dust, citrus, and faint incense hangs like a thin veil over the street, while the sky above is still pale and hesitant, the sun only now beginning to press gently against the tiled roofs with the kind of golden light that feels more whispered than spoken. The stones beneath your feet, uneven, worn, and familiar, greet you with a quiet firmness as you begin your walk, one deliberate step after another, down the narrow lane that curves gently away from your home like a memory you've traced 100 times before. The neighborhood is not silent, not exactly, but it hums in the low tones of a city just beginning to stretch awake. Somewhere behind a shuttered window, a lyre plays lazily, a half-forgotten melody that was old even when your grandfather was a child. Farther down, an old man waters the roots of his pomegranate tree with a cracked clay jug, nodding to you with the quiet respect of one who also walks without urgency. A cat watches from atop a crumbling wall, its green eyes blinking in the light, tail twitching slowly like a metronome for the moment. And still you walk, each footfall a soft promise to yourself that there is no need to rush through a life that unfolds, day by day, as if it had all the time in the world. You pass under an archway where ivy spills lazily from the top like forgotten embroidery on a sleeping robe, and just beyond it, the ground levels out into the larger street, lined with low, whitewashed walls and clay-tiled roofs that glow faintly in the morning haze. The air changes here, more open, touched by the scent of salt from the sea that lies somewhere beyond the rooftops, hidden for now but always near. The stones of the main path are warmer, broader, laid long ago by hands no one remembers, smoothed by centuries of footsteps, sandals, wheels, and rain. Your own soles know them well. You feel the small imperfections in each step, the slight dip near the butcher's door, the crack beside the mosaic of the old saint, the mossy patch near the cistern that is always just a little damp no matter how long the sun shines. Ahead, the domed roof of the bathhouse rises like a slow exhale from the earth, broad and serene, its faded blue tiles catching the morning light like the surface of still water. The door is open. It always is. No locks, no guards. What would there be to guard, after all? Only warmth, and water, and silence, the true treasures of any city worth living in. You step inside and are greeted by the softest shift in the air, a kind of sacred hush that presses gently against your skin like linen soaked in sunlight. The interior is dim but not dark, with light filtering in through small round openings in the dome above, scattering delicate circles across the marble floor like blessings cast by invisible hands. You leave your robe on the wooden bench, folded neatly, not because anyone watches, but because order brings comfort. Your body is neither beautiful nor unremarkable. It simply is. A vessel that has carried you through countless mornings just like this. You step into the tepidarium, the warm room, where the air wraps around you like memory, thick, wet, fragrant with cedar and old soap. You sit on the edge of the stone bench and close your eyes, letting the heat rise around you, loosening your limbs, slowing your thoughts, softening everything sharp that the world may have left behind. In the room beyond, you can hear the faint drip of water into a basin. It echoes softly, like the heartbeat of the city itself. There are other voices now, two men murmuring in low tones, their conversation drifting like steam, indistinct and unimportant. You do not need to hear the words. The sound is enough. A woman hums gently in the women's chamber, the tune looping like a thread pulled through cloth. Somewhere behind the walls, a servant pours water over hot stones, and the soft hiss rises for a moment, then fades. You stretch, slowly, deliberately, your spine unfurling like a scroll. The stones beneath you are warm and slightly damp, polished by generations of bodies just like yours. You take a deep breath and hold it, then let it out through your nose, feeling your chest empty, your thoughts quiet. This place is not just a building. It is a ritual, a breathing space carved from time itself. Here, the empire does not matter. The court and its whispers, the markets and their noise, the shadows of saints and soldiers, all remain outside. Here, there is only breath, and heat, and stone. You lean back against the wall, the marble cool against your shoulder blades. You close your eyes again. You are not waiting for anything. You are simply here. And that is enough. You rise slowly from the warm stone bench of the bathhouse, your muscles still pliant and relaxed from the gentle embrace of the heat that seeped deep into your limbs, loosening every tight knot and lingering tension you did not know you carried. Each movement feels deliberate and unhurried, a quiet ritual in itself. As you make your way through the narrowing corridor that leads deeper into this hidden sanctuary, this refuge from the outside world's endless clamor. The air changes here. It cools, but it does not bite. Instead, it carries a different kind of comfort, an ancient, sacred presence that clings invisibly to the stones around you, wrapping you in the faint, persistent aroma of frankincense and beeswax. This scent is not merely a fragrance, but a soft, smoky whisper from centuries past, a lingering breath of prayers once offered and still alive in the very fabric of these walls. As you walk, your eyes drift over the frescoes painted with such delicate care, the colors muted by time yet holding a ghostly radiance. The saints and angels depicted seem to watch you with steady, serene eyes, their faces touched by a calm knowing, their gestures inviting and full of gentle grace. Your fingers reach out almost without thought, tracing the worn edges of one icon, feeling the uneven texture of plaster and pigment that holds 1,000 stories pressed into its surface, the quiet devotion of generations long gone. Ahead, a soft murmur of voices threads through the stillness, a chant rising like a delicate wave of sound that folds itself into the cool air, blending with the occasional distant clink of metal from a nearby altar. Candles flicker in wrought iron sconces mounted high on the walls, their trembling flames casting a slow, hypnotic dance of light and shadow across the vaulted ceiling. The interplay of darkness and illumination transforms the space into a living tapestry, an ever-shifting mosaic of flickering shapes and silhouettes that seem to move with a life of their own, breathing alongside your quiet steps. The curling smoke of incense weaves through the room like a physical thread, winding its way around your senses, drawing you forward with a gentle insistence, as if guiding you deeper into the heart of this sacred place. This scent speaks of ritual and memory, a language older than words, reminding you of countless mornings and evenings spent here, beneath the watchful gaze of icons that offer solace in a world often filled with turmoil and noise. The chapel you approach is small but suffused with solemn dignity, a hidden jewel of calm in the sprawling city. Inside, a priest moves with measured grace, the heavy folds of his robes whispering softly against the polished marble floor as he chants the early rites of the day in a voice low and melodic, the tones weaving through the space like a thread of calm that binds everything together. You find a quiet corner in the chapel, a wooden bench worn smooth by the touch of hands from generations past, and settle yourself carefully, folding your hands loosely in your lap. The flicker of candlelight catches your eyelashes as you close your eyes, inviting the sacred atmosphere to seep into your skin and bones, rooting you firmly in the present moment, yet allowing your mind to drift far beyond. The walls around you seem almost to breathe, alive with the countless stories carved into their surfaces, the lives of saints who once walked these halls, of miracles whispered in the half-darkness, of prayers that rose and fell like the tide. The dance of shadows on the ceiling becomes a slow, steady heartbeat, steady and eternal like the rhythm of Byzantium itself, a city that holds its breath beneath layers of history and faith. In this place, the world outside, the noise of markets, the clatter of soldiers' boots, the political intrigue, falls away until nothing remains but the gentle murmur of incense and the silent gaze of icons that watch over you like timeless sentinels. Your thoughts soften, drifting away like the curling smoke that rises slowly and disappears into the air above, carrying with it all the sharp edges and restless worries of the day. There is no rush here. Time stretches, slow and unbroken, measured only by the soft cadence of prayer and presence that fills the space. You lean back against the cool wall, feeling the smooth marble press gently against your shoulders, steady and unyielding. Your breath finds a natural rhythm, slow and deep, matching the calm pulse of the chapel. You remain there for what feels like hours, though it is perhaps only moments, wrapped in the deep silence that hums beneath the whispered prayers and the faint crackle of burning wax. Outside the chapel doors, the city wakes and stirs, its many voices rising like a distant tide, but here you are suspended in a fragile bubble of peace, a momentary sanctuary from the relentless demands of life beyond these walls. Eventually, the priest's chant comes to an end, the last candle flickers low, and the chapel empties, leaving you alone once more with the stillness. You rise slowly, a quiet calm settled deep within your chest, carrying with you the lingering scent of incense like a soft cloak wrapped around your shoulders. This quiet sanctuary, hidden away in the heart of Byzantium, is yours to return to whenever the noise and weight of the world become too much to bear. You step out from the chapel into the corridor once more, the light shifting subtly as the morning grows older, and you prepare to face the city again, its endless noise, its endless demands, but now with the murmur of incense and the gaze of icons quietly holding you steady, a hidden strength beneath the surface of your days. As you step out from the sacred stillness of the chapel and rejoin the slowly awakening streets of Byzantium, the city stretches before you like a vast, ancient tapestry woven with the threads of countless lives and stories. The cobblestone paths beneath your feet echo softly with the rhythm of early footsteps, and the cool morning air carries a delicate mixture of scents, the faint sharpness of crushed herbs, the yeasty warmth of fresh bread baking in hidden ovens, and the earthy fragrance of damp stone and dust disturbed by passing feet. Around you, the city stirs in subtle ways. Wooden carts creak gently as they are pulled into position, shopkeepers unroll their stalls, and quiet conversations weave through narrow alleys like soft streams threading through the stone labyrinth. The whole scene feels alive but hushed, as though the city itself is still stretching, waking from a long, dreamless sleep, preparing to embrace the bustling day ahead with the familiar cadence of routine and ritual. Your footsteps carry you to a quieter corner, shaded by overhanging balconies draped with flowering vines that spill their blossoms like delicate jewels into the street below. Here stands a humble wooden cart, simple but neat, piled high with bowls of glossy olives that shimmer faintly in the gentle morning light. The olive seller himself is a small man, his face weathered and lined by years of sun and wind, his eyes bright with a calm wisdom that speaks of deep familiarity with this ancient trade. His voice rises softly over the muted hum of the city, a gentle, melodic song that seems to flow naturally from his lips, neither hurried nor strained, but steady and warm, like a slow river winding through the landscape of the waking day. The tune is old, as old as the trees that bore these olives, passed down through countless generations and carrying with it the memory of earth and sun, harvest and patience. You stop, drawn in by the quiet power of the song, letting its steady rhythm settle into your bones like a comforting heartbeat. The olive seller's voice is more than a simple call to trade. It is a thread connecting you to the very soil of the land, to the long history of cultivation and care that has brought these olives to your hands. As his song rises and falls, weaving through the soft morning air, you notice others drawn near, villagers, merchants, and travelers alike, each one responding not just to the promise of nourishment, but to the intangible warmth that the song carries. Faces soften, breaths slow, and hands move with reverence as olives are picked and weighed, the simple act of purchase becoming a quiet ceremony, a shared moment of grace in the busy pulse of the city. The olive seller's eyes meet yours briefly, a silent acknowledgement passing between you, an unspoken understanding of the sacredness hidden in this everyday exchange. The olives themselves gleam dark and inviting, their skins smooth and taut, heavy with the brine of the sea and the richness of the fertile soil from which they came. Eating one is more than a matter of taste. It is a connection to a lineage of hands that have nurtured these trees for centuries, a communion with the land and its cycles of growth and decay. You can almost taste the sun that ripened the fruit, the rain that soaked the earth, and the cool shade that sheltered the groves. The olives are a gift, humble, yet profound, offering both sustenance and a moment of stillness amid the endless demands of life in Byzantium. As you savor the subtle bitterness and the gentle saltiness, you feel a quiet gratitude bloom within you, a soft anchor that steadies your spirit in a world often marked by turmoil and noise. The olive seller's song fades slowly into the morning light, blending seamlessly with the awakening sounds of the city, the clatter of carts, the chatter of traders, the distant ring of bells calling the faithful to prayer. The moment stretches, a breath held between night and day, between silence and sound, a fragile pause that invites reflection and calm. With a final nod of thanks to the seller, you turn away, the melody lingering softly in your mind like a gentle echo of peace. You continue on through the labyrinth of streets, the memory of that quiet song wrapped around your heart like a soft cloak, a reminder that even in the busiest, most chaotic places, small moments of grace and connection endure, waiting quietly to be noticed and cherished. As the city unfolds around you, alive with the rhythms of trade and life, you carry with you the olive seller's quiet song, a subtle balm against the noise and haste. It is a thread of calm woven into the fabric of your day, a quiet strength that will steady you in the hours to come. In this city of stone and spirit, where the ancient past breathes beneath every step, you find solace in such simple gifts. The murmured songs, the taste of the earth's bounty, the shared moments that stitch the endless tapestry of Byzantium into a living whole. You find yourself walking upward now, leaving behind the lively chaos of the city's heart, where merchants shout their wares and the scents of spiced meats and fresh bread mingle in the air. Instead, you are drawn into the quiet labyrinth of the upper quarter, a district perched high above the bustling thoroughfares, where the streets grow narrow and winding, and the buildings rise taller, their walls heavy with centuries of history and whispered secrets. The air here feels different, cooler, crisper, tinged with the faint salty breath of the distant sea that endlessly laps against the city's ancient harbor. As you move slowly along the cobbled streets, the breeze begins to stir, weaving effortlessly through the tightly shuttered windows and the delicate wooden blinds that shade the facades of elegant homes. It slips inside like a gentle spirit, rustling fine curtains of silk and linen, carrying with it the soft fragrance of blooming jasmine vines entwined around wrought iron balconies, and the subtle piney aroma of cypress trees that stand like silent sentinels along the alleys. The world here is hushed, wrapped in a cloak of subdued sounds and gentle movements that contrast sharply with the clamor below. The clanging of blacksmiths' hammers and the boisterous calls of street vendors give way to the faint clink of porcelain teacups being placed delicately on polished tables, the whispered murmur of conversations spoken behind carved wooden screens, and the distant tolling of monastery bells that float across the air like a slow, sacred heartbeat. You pause beneath a window shaded by time-worn wooden blinds, watching as the soft morning light filters through the slats, casting long, shifting stripes across frescoed walls faded with age, but still vibrant with stories of saints and emperors long past. The sunlight warms the cool stone beneath your feet, awakening the texture of every crack and chip, reminding you of the countless souls who have passed this way before you. The breeze carries with it the faint scent of beeswax candles burning in prayer lamps, mixed with sandalwood incense that lingers like a prayer offered silently to the heavens. Peeking through the partially open blinds, you catch glimpses of an interior world steeped in quiet refinement and delicate beauty. Ornate wooden furniture, carved with intricate patterns of vines and mythical beasts, fills the rooms, their surfaces polished to a soft sheen by the touch of many hands. Rich tapestries, dyed with deep reds and golds imported from distant lands, hang heavy on the walls, telling tales of heroic deeds and tragic love in their woven threads. Gentle shadows flicker across the faces of those who dwell here, faces calm and thoughtful, their eyes reflecting the soft flicker of candlelight as they move with practiced grace through the silent rooms. You imagine the whispered conversations that must drift along these corridors, discussions of political alliances forged in quiet chambers, strategies hatched in the glow of oil lamps, and stories of distant battles fought far beyond the city walls. Every word spoken here is steeped in careful calculation, yet beneath the surface lies the human yearning for peace, for connection, for meaning amid the grandeur and intrigue. The breeze itself seems alive with stories, carrying faint echoes of laughter and sorrow, ambition and regret, slipping silently through the cracks in the stone walls and the tiny gaps between wooden shutters. It brushes your skin like a soft sigh, cooling the warmth left by the sun's first rays, bringing with it a fleeting sensation of calm and clarity. You close your eyes for a moment, breathing in deeply the mingled scents and sounds, letting the subtle caress of the air soothe your spirit and steady your thoughts. In this fragile moment, suspended between the waking city below and the infinite sky above, you feel the weight of history and the lightness of possibility mingling together like threads in a delicate tapestry. Here, in the quiet heart of Byzantium's upper quarter, time itself seems to slow, inviting you to pause, to listen, and to remember that even in the midst of power and politics, life moves with the gentle rhythms of nature and human longing. As you continue along the narrow street, the breeze follows, weaving playfully through the slats of wooden blinds and rustling the glossy leaves of ivy and jasmine vines that cling stubbornly to weathered stone facades. From somewhere beyond a heavy door, you catch the faint strains of a lute, the soft notes rising and falling like a secret song meant only for those who listen closely. The distant murmur of church bells mingles with the laughter of children playing in hidden courtyards, their carefree voices a tender contrast to the solemnity of the ancient walls. The upper quarter feels like a fragile sanctuary, suspended delicately between past and present, a place where the echoes of emperors and saints mingle with the ordinary joys and sorrows of everyday life. The stone beneath your feet seems to hum softly, alive with the memories of countless footsteps and whispered prayers, each one a testament to the endurance of this city through the endless tides of time. In this moment, carried gently on the breeze that slips through the blinds, you feel the essence of Byzantium, a city of enduring beauty and quiet strength, of whispered secrets and bold dreams, where every breath is a bridge between history and the present. The breeze, light and unassuming, is a messenger from the past, a soft reminder that beneath the grandeur and the intrigue, life pulses steadily onward, shaped by countless hands and hearts. With a deep breath, you step forward once more, letting the cool air fill your lungs and guide you deeper into the folds of this ancient world, ready to uncover the next secret waiting just beyond the next bend. As you step quietly through the grand arched gateway, the warm, golden light of the early morning sun spills gently into the spacious courtyard, casting long, soft shadows that ripple gracefully across the polished marble floors. These floors, worn smooth by centuries of countless footsteps, carry the weight of history beneath your own careful steps. The air here is thick with an intangible presence, a mingling of faint yet persistent scents that tell stories as old as the empire itself. The sharp, almost metallic tang of fresh ink, the slightly musty, comforting aroma of well-used parchment, and the sweet, delicate fragrance of orange blossoms from the carefully tended trees lining the courtyard's edges. These orange trees stand like silent witnesses to the passing of time, their branches heavy with clusters of white and pale pink flowers, each petal seeming to tremble lightly in the soft, almost reverent morning breeze. The entire courtyard seems alive with a tranquil energy, a subtle hum that vibrates beneath the surface, drawing you inward toward the heart of Byzantium's sacred pursuit, knowledge and preservation. Around you, the scribes sit or stand bent low over their ancient desks, each surface a testament to tireless devotion, scarred and stained with the marks of centuries of use. Their quills, long feathers plucked carefully from geese or swans, dance and glide across the smooth vellum with a rhythm both painstaking and alive, breathing life into the faded words of old manuscripts. The soft murmurs of their voices mingle with the steady scratch of quills and the rustle of parchment, creating a gentle symphony of sound that is both meditative and alive, filling the courtyard with an almost sacred cadence. Each stroke of ink is deliberate and precise, a careful act of creation and preservation that reaches across time to revive histories, prayers, legal decrees, theological discourses, and ancient wisdom preserved within these treasured texts. It is here, in this quiet sanctuary, that the empire's legacy is meticulously maintained, a fragile thread connecting past, present, and future. The light filtering through the latticed windows and overhead wooden trellises creates a delicate, ever-shifting mosaic of sun and shadow across the cool stone benches, the carved Ionic columns, and the intricate mosaics inset in the courtyard walls. These mosaics, shimmering with tiny tesserae of colored glass and gold leaf, depict saints, emperors, and scenes from sacred scripture, their colors softening in the morning light, yet still vibrant with the power of their stories. The scribes themselves are dressed in modest robes woven from undyed wool or linen, their simple garments echoing the humility of their calling. Their faces, framed by hoods or simple caps, reflect a quiet determination and calm focus, their eyes glinting with the flicker of inner devotion and the sharp intensity of concentration. You hear snippets of their whispered conversations, debates about the correct translation of ancient Greek or Latin phrases, careful corrections made to avoid errors, and the respectful exchange of ideas as they uphold their sacred responsibility to protect and transmit knowledge. The courtyard, more than just a physical space, serves as a living vessel of Byzantium's intellectual and spiritual life, a place where the written word holds a power equal to that of emperors and armies. The gentle rustling of parchment turning and the crisp scratch of reed pens on vellum are punctuated occasionally by the soft clink of inkwells or the distant sound of footsteps on stone corridors beyond the courtyard's boundaries. Outside these walls, the city awakens slowly. The clatter of carts over cobblestones, the distant calls of street vendors, the murmur of prayers from nearby churches, all softened and rendered distant by the heavy wooden doors that guard this sanctuary of letters. Within this sacred space, a stillness reigns, delicate and fragile like a gossamer veil draped over the shoulders of history. It invites you to slow your breath, to quiet your mind, and to open yourself fully to the beauty and solemnity that surrounds you. Above, perched upon a sun-dappled ledge, a small songbird chirps softly, its gentle melody weaving a tender counterpoint to the scribe's diligent work. You find yourself drawn deeper into this serene atmosphere, as if time itself folds back upon itself and the voices of generations past murmur softly through the fluttering pages and the muted echoes of quills on parchment. In this quiet haven, the weight of history becomes almost tangible, each manuscript a precious thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of Byzantium's cultural legacy, each carefully inscribed letter a seed planted with hope for generations yet to come. The scribes serve as devoted guardians of memory, their meticulous hands preserving the thoughts and teachings of philosophers, theologians, poets, and statesmen who shaped the soul of an empire that spanned continents and centuries. You imagine the countless hours spent bent over desks by flickering candlelight, the steady glow casting long shadows against stone walls, the solemn vows taken to shield these fragile texts from the ravages of time, fire, and war. You picture the quiet camaraderie forged in whispered exchanges over difficult passages, the reverence with which every word is handled, and the tireless patience required to reproduce entire libraries by hand. This courtyard, bathed in soft morning light and alive with the sacred rhythm of writing and reflection, stands as a monument not just to knowledge itself, but to human perseverance, faith, and the enduring quest to grasp the divine through letters and words. As you step lightly across the cool marble stones, the gentle morning breeze carries with it the subtle perfume of ink and orange blossoms, mingling seamlessly with the harmonious murmur of scribes' voices and the soft rustling of leaves overhead. The world beyond these protective walls feels softened, muted, as if held at arm's length by the fragile barrier of silence and reverence. Here, in the very heart of Byzantium's intellectual and spiritual life, you find a rare moment of peace and clarity, a fleeting pause in the endless flow of history, a chance to breathe deeply and listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole being, to the timeless stories that have shaped an empire and continue to ripple outward like the gentle turning of a well-loved page in a treasured manuscript. You find yourself gently drawn toward a quiet corner nestled within the lively bustle of Byzantium's marketplace, where the mingling aromas of freshly baked bread, sun-ripened figs, and aged, creamy cheese swirl through the air like a subtle, fragrant invitation. The morning sun filters softly through the narrow, twisting streets of the upper quarter, casting warm, golden shafts of light that dance gently across weathered wooden stalls and rustic tables, their surfaces etched and marred by the steady passage of countless hands and years. Before you rests a humble wooden plate, worn smooth by decades of use, its grains soft and familiar beneath your fingertips. Upon it lies a modest yet deeply evocative assortment of food, simple treasures that whisper stories of survival, tradition, and the unyielding rhythm of daily life within the sprawling Byzantine Empire. The bread resting on the plate is a masterpiece of quiet sustenance, rustic and dense, with a thick, crackling crust browned lovingly by the fierce heat of a wood-fired oven. Its interior, revealed in tender crumb and soft, yielding texture, promises the kind of warmth that seeps beyond the mouth and settles deep within the soul. Alongside the bread, plump figs gleam with a glossy sheen of deep purple and violet hues, their skins taut yet delicate, almost inviting you to break one open and spill forth its sticky, sweet, jewel-toned interior, bursting with rich nectar and countless tiny seeds. Nestled nearby, wedges of cheese rest quietly, their pale, creamy surfaces mottled with fine veins of mold, a mark not of decay, but of patient aging and careful craftsmanship. Each piece speaks of skilled hands and slow, deliberate care, matured to perfection in cool cellars or shaded grottos, bearing the rich, tangy complexity that only time and tender attention can produce. Together, these unpretentious offerings form a modest feast, a tactile, fragrant symphony of flavor and texture that embodies the quiet dignity of Byzantine life, where abundance is measured not in gold or grandeur, but in the honest sharing of nourishing, wholesome food. Around you, the marketplace hums with a steady, gentle rhythm. The voices of vendors rise and fall in soft, melodic calls, weaving effortlessly with the distant clatter of wooden cartwheels over cobblestones and the murmured greetings of neighbors exchanging news and pleasantries. You can almost hear the faint, satisfying sounds of a simple meal being consumed, the quiet crunch of crust breaking between eager teeth, the tender bite through the fig's delicate skin, and the slow, contented chew of rich cheese melting luxuriously on the tongue. The warmth of the sun presses gently upon the wooden plate and the foods it bears, as if infusing them with a subtle vitality, inviting you to imagine the tactile pleasures of this humble repast, the rough, comforting texture of the bread's crust beneath your fingertips, the luscious softness and sticky sweetness of ripe figs yielding delicately at your touch, and the cool, creamy tang of cheese that melts slowly in the mouth, leaving a lingering richness and satisfaction. This simple meal becomes more than just sustenance. It is a quiet emblem of resilience and continuity, a fragile yet enduring thread that connects the hands that kneaded the dough, tended the fig trees heavy with fruit, and crafted the cheese through patient aging, to your own moment of shared experience. It whispers softly of the cycles of seasons and toil, of the steady pulse of life in an empire both vast and intricate, where even amidst towering palaces and sacred basilicas, the true heart of Byzantium beats strongest in these small, unassuming acts of nourishment and care. You feel a gentle calm washing over you, a peaceful stillness born from the knowledge that in this modest meal lies a profound testament to human endurance. The simple joys that sustain body and spirit across generations and centuries. The marketplace's murmur continues around you, a comforting backdrop of daily life unfolding in soft, layered sounds. Yet here, in this quiet corner where the worn wooden plate carries its modest bounty, time seems to slow and stretch, unfolding gently like the pages of a treasured manuscript. You breathe in deeply, savoring the mingling fragrances of fresh bread and ripe figs, carrying with them whispers of distant fields where golden wheat sways in the sun, orchards heavy with fruit, and cool, shadowed caves where cheeses mature with slow, deliberate grace. This unadorned wooden plate transforms before your eyes into a vessel of memory and tradition, a silent testament to the care, skill, and deep connection woven into everyday life in Byzantium. Your mind drifts as you close your eyes briefly, imagining the worn hands that once shaped this simple meal, hands weathered by labor but tender in their purpose, and feeling a tender link stretching across time to those who lived, worked, and loved beneath the same vast sky, sharing in the ancient, unbroken gift of sustenance. As the afternoon sun shifts westward and shadows lengthen across the uneven cobblestones, you rise slowly from your place, carrying with you the quiet warmth of this simple feast. The tastes, textures, and scents linger vividly in your senses, an enduring echo of Byzantium's beating heart, a reminder that even amidst the empire's grandeur and complexity, life's truest and most profound moments are often found in the smallest, humblest experiences. You move onward through the marketplace, the worn wooden plate, and its quiet story gently folding into the rich tapestry of the city's endless rhythms, a whispered promise that in every shared meal and every simple act of care, history is made anew. You stand at the very edge where the city's stone-paved streets finally relent to the wild, untamed cliffs that plunge dramatically into the restless waters of the Aegean Sea. Here, the air is thick with the sharp, salty tang of the ocean, mingling with the faint but unmistakable scent of seaweed and damp rock. The breeze wraps gently around you, cool and soothing, carrying whispers of distant waves that crash relentlessly against the jagged coastline below. Far off, the solemn bells of the monastery toll slowly, their deep, sonorous sound rolling over the water and threading through the whispering wind, a rhythmic reminder of faith and solitude perched high upon the rocky precipice. The monastery itself stands like a silent sentinel, its whitewashed walls and slender spires etched against the endless horizon, a fortress of quiet contemplation carved into the harsh cliffs where monks have lived for generations, guarding secrets and prayers in equal measure, their lives entwined with the endless ebb and flow of the sea. Clutched carefully in your hand is a small, folded parchment, edges softened and slightly curled from the many hands it has passed through, messenger to messenger, city to monastery, monastery to city. Its faded ink still holds the careful script of the monks who penned it, the letters looping in deliberate, measured strokes that betray a quiet reverence and purpose. This simple sheet of vellum, seemingly fragile and unassuming, carries with it the weight of countless prayers, warnings, and words of encouragement, an urgent message dispatched from the sacred silence of the monastery to the pulsing heart of Byzantium's city streets. It serves as a vital bridge, a fragile lifeline threaded through the chaos of everyday life, connecting those cloistered in spiritual solitude to the restless throng below, where lives twist and turn in 1,000 unpredictable ways. As you begin the steep descent along the cliffside path, your footsteps echo softly on the ancient stones worn smooth by centuries of pilgrim passage. The sun, still high but softening as afternoon wanes, bathes the rough terrain in a golden light that shimmers on the uneven surfaces, flickering as the sea breeze causes the leaves and hanging moss to sway gently. The roar of the waves crashing violently into the rocks far below forms a constant, wild soundtrack, rising and falling in a timeless rhythm that seems to synchronize with your own breathing and the quiet pounding of your heart. You imagine the monks inside the monastery's austere halls, faces lined with years of devotion, fingers stained with ink as they carefully transcribe sacred texts, voices lifted in solemn chants that drift like a sacred mist through stone corridors. The message in your hand is much more than ink on parchment. It is a thread of hope and continuity, an offering of connection that links these two worlds of silence and noise. Isolation and communion, sacred and secular. The air around you is alive with the cries of seagulls wheeling overhead, their sharp calls slicing through the gentle susurrus of wind and water. The sea below sparkles with shifting patterns of sunlight, each wave catching the light and sending shimmering reflections skyward, like fragments of broken glass tossed carelessly by an invisible hand. You pause briefly on a time-worn stone bench nestled beside the path, its surface smoothed by the hands and knees of countless travelers who came before you. As you sit, your gaze stretches far beyond the cliffs to where the horizon melts into a seamless wash of deep blues and soft grays, the boundary between sea and sky blurring into an endless expanse that seems to swallow both time and thought. In this quiet moment, the weight of the message in your hand feels at once immense and delicate, like a fragile flame that must be carefully guarded yet carried boldly through the gathering dusk. It is a symbol of faith that transcends distance and danger, a whisper of reassurance in uncertain times, a promise that the steadfast prayers of the monks reach far beyond their cloistered walls to touch every corner of the empire. Your journey back toward the city unfolds with a gentle inevitability, the path winding upward now through narrow lanes shaded by overhanging vines and weathered stone buildings that lean close as if to listen. The distant silhouette of the monastery fades gradually into the haze, a pale shape on the horizon that seems less a place and more a lingering presence, a beacon of calm amidst the unpredictable currents of daily life. The message tucked safely within your robe feels like a talisman, its silent power grounding you amid the restless energy of the city that awaits. Returning to the familiar bustle, you are met by the mingled sounds of merchants calling out their wares, the clatter of carts over cobbles, and the faint, haunting strains of a lute drifting through the air. Yet beneath these familiar noises you carry with you a quiet, enduring pulse, the steady heartbeat of the monastery by the sea, a reminder that even in the vastness of empire and the ceaseless churn of history, there are still sacred places where faith endures, lighting the way for those willing to listen. The sun dips lower now, casting long shadows that stretch like fingers across the city's labyrinthine streets, bathing Byzantium in a soft, enfolding twilight. The message you carry becomes more than words. It is a beacon, a small steady flame burning brightly in the dimming light, a quiet reassurance that no matter the chaos or uncertainty that may come, the delicate thread of hope woven by the monastery's prayers continues unbroken. Breathing deeply, you savor the mingled scents of salt air and city spice, feeling the reassuring weight of the parchment close against your heart. This message's journey is far from over, yet in this moment of stillness, you understand its profound significance. You are part of something much greater than yourself, a single thread woven into the rich, complex tapestry of Byzantium, a story stretching across centuries where every whispered prayer, every written word, and every quiet act of faith is a vital stitch holding together the fabric of an empire that has stood resolute against the tides of time. As the first stars begin to twinkle faintly above, and the city lights flicker like scattered fireflies, you step forward once more into the unfolding night. The message in your grasp carries with it the soft glow of hope and the enduring strength of belief, a quiet pulse that will continue to beat beneath the surface of this great city long after the last echoes of your footsteps have faded away into the stillness. As the sun slowly descends behind the ancient city walls of Byzantium, the sky is set ablaze with a soft symphony of warm colors, burnished golds melting into deepening shades of rose and violet. You find yourself irresistibly drawn toward the sacred heart of the city, where towering basilicas, their domes gilded and gleaming faintly in the dying light, stand as solemn sentinels against the approaching night. The air here grows thick with the rich, lingering scent of incense, sweet, smoky, and faintly resinous, its curling tendrils weaving a delicate veil of fragrance that drifts silently through the arches and over the intricate mosaics depicting saints and angels in their eternal watchfulness. Inside these hallowed walls, the monks and clergy prepare for the evening litany, a sacred ritual passed down through countless generations, whose deep, resonant tones have long bound the souls of Byzantium's faithful in a continuous chorus of prayer, supplication, and quiet worship. You linger at the basilica's grand entrance, feeling the weight of centuries beneath your feet as you step onto the cool, polished stone worn smooth by the countless pilgrims who have come before you seeking peace, solace, and the divine embrace within these walls. The massive wooden doors stand open, revealing a flickering interior awash in the golden glow of candlelight, the flames casting dancing shadows that animate the glittering mosaics and sculpted columns. From within, you hear the soft murmur of voices, rising and falling in a steady, hypnotic rhythm, much like the distant roar of the sea that never truly leaves this city. The chanting begins as a low, haunting hum, gradually swelling and intertwining into a rich, harmonious tapestry of sound that fills the vast nave and reverberates against the vaulted ceiling. The deep resonance of the voices, each note perfectly pitched and blending seamlessly with the others, reaches inside you, soothing the restless stirrings of your mind and heart as if you were enveloped by a warm, comforting cloak. This litany is far more than a simple ritual. It is a living, breathing thread that connects past to present, mortal to divine, weaving together the countless hopes, fears, and faith of those who have knelt here in silent prayer over centuries. Every word spoken, every sacred phrase intoned by the monks carries with it a weight of meaning and history that echoes through the cavernous interior and across the shimmering mosaics depicting scenes of heavenly glory and earthly sacrifice. You close your eyes, letting the chanting wash over you like a gentle tide, a soothing lullaby for the soul that quiets the noise of the outside world and invites you into a timeless realm where only faith and peace reside. The harmony of the voices creates a sacred space where time itself seems to slow, and the steady cadence invites you to release your worries and surrender to the tranquil embrace of the moment. Beyond the church walls, the city of Byzantium begins to fall silent under the gathering twilight. The bustling streets, marketplaces, and taverns grow hushed as lanterns are lit one by one, their soft, flickering flames casting pools of golden light that reach out to chase away the deepening shadows clinging to narrow alleys and broad plazas alike. These small lanterns, hanging from iron hooks or placed carefully along stone ledges, become tiny beacons of hope and faith scattered throughout the city's vast expanse, each one a flickering flame of resilience against the encroaching darkness. You step back into the cool evening air, the distant chant of the litany still echoing faintly in your ears, a sacred melody that follows you like a gentle companion as you make your way through the winding, labyrinthine streets. The chant's soft rhythm intertwines with the subtle sounds of the city settling into night, the muted clatter of closing shutters, the distant laughter of patrons in taverns, and the whisper of the evening breeze stirring leaves and loose dust. The night air carries with it an evocative blend of scents. The briny tang of the nearby sea mingles with the warm, enticing aromas of spiced wine, roasted nuts, and freshly baked bread wafting from open windows and market stalls. These fragrances mingle seamlessly with the subtle, lingering notes of incense that have spilled from the basilica, creating a rich tapestry of sensory impressions that anchor you firmly in the living, breathing heart of Byzantium. In this quiet moment, you feel a deep, unspoken connection to the city and its people, an invisible thread of shared faith and endurance that weaves through the lives of those who call this place home. It is this connection, subtle but unbreakable, that gives Byzantium its enduring strength, a resilience that has carried it through centuries of triumph and turmoil alike. As the chant slowly fades, becoming a distant whisper rather than a swelling tide, the silence that follows is not empty but full of meaning. It is a sacred pause, a moment of reverence that wraps around the city like a protective cloak, soothing the minds and hearts of its inhabitants, inviting them to rest and find peace beneath the watchful gaze of saints depicted in shimmering mosaics high above. The gentle echo of footsteps on stone blends with the faint murmur of the sea beyond the city walls, composing a soft nocturne that calms the restless and invites contemplation. You feel this calm settle deep within you, a quiet assurance that the litany's sacred power has woven its magic once again, binding together the spiritual and earthly realms in a tender embrace. The twilight deepens and stars begin to emerge, tiny points of light blinking softly in the velvet sky overhead. The city lights below twinkle like scattered fireflies caught in a slow dance of illumination and shadow. As you take a slow, deliberate step forward into the unfolding night, the sacred chant lingers in your heart, a gentle pulse of hope and enduring faith that will continue to beat quietly beneath the surface of this ancient city long after your footsteps fade into the silence. You carry with you a renewed sense of belonging and peace, a reminder that in the vast, ever-changing tapestry of Byzantium, faith remains a steady thread, unseen but deeply felt, weaving through every whispered prayer, every soft chant, and every silent night. As the deep blue hues of twilight slowly surrender to the vast, endless expanse of night, you find yourself irresistibly drawn toward the ancient sea walls of Byzantium, those grand and time-worn guardians that have stood their silent vigil for centuries beyond reckoning. These massive, rough-hewn stones, shaped by countless hands and weathered by the ceaseless assault of salt spray, wind, and rain, bear the scars of history etched deep into their rugged surfaces, standing firm as a steadfast testament to the city's enduring spirit against the unrelenting forces of nature and time. The air here is cool and brisk, infused with the unmistakable tang of salt water mingled with the delicate, intoxicating scent of jasmine blossoms that climb silently along the jagged cliffs nearby, their white petals glowing softly in the fading light. A gentle breeze stirs, carrying with it a chorus of subtle sounds, the distant crashing of waves against rock, the soft rustle of leaves, and the faint, rhythmic lapping of water as it caresses the base of the sea walls, creating an almost hypnotic melody that seems to echo the very heartbeat of the ancient city itself. Above you, the sky is a vast canvas painted in deep indigos and scattered with countless stars, each one twinkling like a silver flame suspended in the velvet darkness, casting a shimmering reflection that dances upon the restless surface of the Aegean Sea, stretching endlessly toward the horizon, where the boundary between sea and sky blurs into an ethereal haze. You press your palms against the cool, rugged stones of the wall, the rough texture grounding you in the present while connecting you invisibly to the countless souls who have stood here through the ages. Traders, warriors, fishermen, and wanderers alike, each one leaving behind a whisper of their own story in the stone's silent memory. The city behind you fades softly into shadow and light, a sprawling labyrinth of winding streets, domes, and spires that glimmer faintly under the gentle glow of oil lamps and distant torches. This place between land and sea feels like a sacred threshold, a liminal space where time slows and the world's noise falls away, leaving only the profound stillness of the moment. You close your eyes for a heartbeat, inhaling deeply the mingled scents of salt, jasmine, and earth, letting the natural symphony of waves and wind wash over you, cleansing your thoughts and calming your restless spirit. The gentle rocking of the water below, the distant cry of a lone night bird, and the soft sigh of the breeze weaving through ancient stone all blend together into a serene lullaby, inviting you to linger here a little longer in quiet reflection. Your mind wanders to the countless histories inscribed into the very fabric of these stones, the thunderous clash of siege engines battering the walls during times of war, the triumphant shouts of defenders pushing back invaders, the hushed prayers murmured by those seeking shelter behind this mighty barrier. The sea itself is both protector and perilous adversary, its moods shifting with the tides and tempests, while the walls stand firm, an unyielding bulwark of human resilience and ingenuity, testifying to a civilization's determination to endure. In this twilight moment, you sense the delicate paradox of Byzantium itself, a city perched precariously at the crossroads of worlds and epochs, at once vulnerable and invincible, fleeting and eternal. The walls are not merely stone, they are a living chronicle of endurance, a physical embodiment of hope and defiance against the relentless march of time and change. Night deepens all around you, drawing shadows long and fluid across the contours of the battlements and the rugged coastline below. The interplay of light and darkness plays upon the stones, flickering softly from distant lanterns and the pale glow of stars, weaving a tapestry of shifting shapes that dance in harmony with the murmuring sea. The jasmine's fragrance thickens, its sweet, heady aroma blending seamlessly with the fresh, salty breath of the ocean, filling your senses with a gentle intoxication that quiets the mind and soothes the soul. Each breath you take feels like a communion with the night itself, a sacred exchange between you and the ancient world cradled beneath the vast sky. Time seems to stretch and expand here, the moments flowing like the tide itself, slow and inexorable, carrying you further away from the bustling city and closer to a place of profound peace and timelessness. You stand rooted, a silent witness to this eternal dance, feeling a quiet strength pulse through your veins, a strength drawn from the very stones beneath your fingers, the endless sea before you, and the boundless sky above. Your eyes follow the curve of the sea walls as they disappear into the soft darkness beyond, swallowed gradually by the rolling mists that rise from the deep waters. You imagine the ships that have passed through these waters, ornate merchant vessels laden with silks, spices, and treasures from distant lands, mighty war galleys slicing through tempestuous waves, humble fishing boats returning home with their day's catch, all part of the eternal cycle of life and commerce, of conflict and coexistence, that has sustained Byzantium through millennia. The quiet majesty of this moment fills you with a sense of awe, a deep humility before the fragile beauty and profound resilience that have defined this city. Byzantium is a place of contradictions, ever-changing yet enduring, delicate yet unbreakable, mortal yet touched by the divine. Here, at the edge of the world, these contradictions merge and dissolve into a single truth, that through all the storms and quiet nights alike, something eternal remains. Slowly, you tear your gaze away from the dark horizon and begin the gentle walk back toward the sleeping city. The soft murmur of the sea lingers in your ears, a lullaby carried on the night breeze, wrapping around you like a protective shawl infused with the salt and mystery of the ocean. The stars continue their silent vigil overhead, flickering like watchful eyes in the heavens. You carry with you the strength and steadfastness of the sea walls, their unyielding courage, their patient endurance, their quiet promise to stand firm through all the tides of time. This quiet fortitude settles deep within your bones, a source of comfort and resolve to carry you safely through the unfolding night and into whatever dreams and dawns may come. And as you step back into the soft glow of Byzantium's lamps, the city's pulse resumes its steady beat, welcoming you once more into its ancient, ever-turning story. You wander slowly down the narrow, cobblestone street of Byzantium's upper quarter, where every stone beneath your feet seems to carry the weight and whispers of countless generations. The morning sun pours through the tight alleyways, casting long, golden shafts of light that shimmer like delicate lace on the worn walls. These walls, textured with centuries-old plaster cracked and patched here and there, are softened by patches of moss and creeping ivy, as though nature itself gently embraces this timeless place. The air is cool but carries the faint, sweet scent of beeswax mingled with fresh linen, a combination that draws you closer to a modest, tucked-away workshop nestled between towering stone buildings. The wooden door creaks softly as you push it open, stepping into a world that feels suspended in time. The room inside is calm and fragrant, filled with the quiet sounds of a needle deftly threading through fabric, and the steady hum of a spinning wheel turning in the corner. Bolts of cloth, rich crimson silks, lustrous golden brocades, coarse yet sturdy wools, hang in neat rows, their vibrant colors and varied textures whispering stories of distant lands and ancient traditions. Each piece of fabric seems to hum with a history all its own, as if waiting patiently to be shaped by the skilled hands that will turn it into garments worn by emperors, priests, merchants, and common folk alike. Here, in this small sanctum of creation, the city's vast and intricate tapestry is woven one stitch at a time. Seated at a heavy wooden bench is the tailor himself, a man of middle years with silver-streaked hair and hands marked by time and toil. His eyes, gentle yet bright with experience, regard you with a warm and quiet welcome. The movements of his hands are deliberate and assured, each stitch placed with painstaking care as the needle slides gracefully through the fabric. You notice the fine detail of his work, the tiny, almost invisible stitches that hold the cloth together with enduring strength, the slight fraying at the edges skillfully tamed, and the subtle embroidery that hints at symbols both sacred and worldly. Around him, the workshop breathes with life, scraps of richly embroidered fabric piled neatly, hand-drawn patterns pinned to the plastered walls, a worn leather pincushion studded with needles, and a small brazier releasing wisps of fragrant smoke from burning rosemary and lavender, filling the air with a soothing aroma. You settle on a simple wooden stool, feeling the smooth wear of centuries beneath your fingers as you lean forward. The tailor's voice is low and steady, flowing like a gentle stream as he begins to share his stories, drawing you into the slow rhythm of his craft. He speaks first of the silks that arrive on Byzantine shores, precious treasures carried from the farthest reaches of the Silk Road by caravans that brave deserts and mountains alike. These silks, he explains, are dyed in brilliant colors extracted from rare plants and minerals, each shade a secret recipe passed down through generations of dyers who work tirelessly to capture the very essence of nature's palette. To wear such cloth was not merely to dress, it was to carry the identity of the wearer, a declaration of rank, faith, or allegiance carefully stitched into every fold and hem. As he speaks, you imagine the bustling ports where merchants bartered spices and silk, the towering workshops where dyes bubbled in large vats, and the courts where nobles donned robes that glittered beneath the sun like living jewels. The tailor tells you about the endless challenge of balancing tradition with innovation, constantly adapting ancient techniques to suit the evolving tastes of emperors, aristocrats, and the city's diverse populace. His eyes shine with pride when he recounts the stories of young nobles who commission him to craft garments for grand ceremonies, robes that shimmer under the gleam of cathedral mosaics, and humble merchants who entrust him with their tattered cloaks, hoping his skill will restore dignity to worn threads. The conversation drifts gently, punctuated only by the rhythmic hum of needle and thread, as the tailor reveals the deeper meaning behind his craft. To him, clothing is not mere utility, but a living expression of culture, history, and identity, each garment a fragment of the city's soul. He speaks of apprenticeships beginning in early childhood, long hours spent learning to distinguish fine weave from coarse, and the quiet satisfaction of mending not just cloth but the spirit of those who wear it. His voice softens as he recalls moments of silent connection with clients, moments when sorrow, hope, and joy are woven into the fabric of a single stitch, and the tailor's work becomes a thread linking lives through time. Outside, the sun climbs higher, casting dappled light through the window and illuminating the delicate embroidery of a robe in progress. The grains of the wooden bench and floor beneath your feet seem to pulse with stories, each groove and nick a testament to the hands that built this sanctuary. A deep sense of calm settles over you as you rise to leave, carrying with you the quiet dignity of the tailor's world, an enduring symbol of patience, craft, and the unseen hands that clothe the city and its people in grace and history. Stepping back into the sunlit streets of Byzantium, the lively sounds of the city return, but now they seem softened, infused with the gentle cadence of the tailor's needle, a subtle heartbeat woven into the grand tapestry of imperial life. You step slowly beneath the towering arches of the great library of Constantinople, a sacred sanctuary of knowledge nestled deep within the restless heart of the city. The air here is cooler, tinged with the faint, dusty scent of aged parchment mingled with the soft, velvety aroma of ancient vellum that has been preserved through centuries. Sunlight filters gently through stained glass windows high above, casting muted, colorful patterns that drift lazily across the worn stone floor like fading echoes of memories long past. Every footfall you make echoes softly, yet the sound is swallowed by the vast rows of shelves stretching endlessly before you, each laden with scrolls, codices, and manuscripts, silent guardians of countless histories and forgotten tales. This library feels like a sleeping giant, a treasure trove of wisdom and secrets carefully preserved through wars, fires, and upheavals that shaped the empire's fate. The very dust that rests on the ancient scrolls feels like velvet, a soft, delicate blanket woven from the breaths of scholars long gone and the slow, steady passage of time. You reach out with a tentative hand, your fingertips trembling ever so slightly as they brush against the fragile edge of a scroll tied with a faded ribbon. The surface beneath your skin is rough, fragile, almost as if the scroll itself hesitates to reveal the secrets inked onto its delicate fibers. It seems to whisper stories, not in words, but in the texture of its parchment, the faint impressions of letters pressed by painstaking hands, and the slight curl of its edges, reluctant to surrender its long-held mysteries. All around you, the library hums with quiet, reverent activity. A small group of scribes sit at heavy wooden desks, their quills scratching softly against parchment with careful, deliberate motions, each stroke an act of devotion. They move with a grace born of deep respect for their sacred task, understanding that every letter they inscribe is a fragile thread in the vast tapestry of human history. Occasionally, A scholar draped in flowing robes glides between the aisles, fingers trailing lightly over book spines as if greeting old friends after a long absence. Their murmured voices mingle softly with the rustling of parchment, a hushed symphony of silence and study, of devotion and discovery. Deeper into this temple of knowledge, the mingling scent of beeswax candles and dry musk of ancient pages creates an atmosphere both sacred and intimate. Your gaze lingers on the intricate mosaics adorning the walls, depicting philosophers, saints, and great thinkers, their faces frozen in eternal contemplation, as if guarding the priceless treasures held within these stone walls. Their eyes seem to follow you gently, urging you to slow your pace, to listen closely, to absorb the quiet power of the wisdom accumulated over centuries. You settle onto a worn stone bench beneath a tall window and carefully unroll a fragile scroll. The script is exquisite, flowing Greek letters curling and swooping like the gentle waves of the nearby Bosporus. As you read softly, the words carry you far away, telling tales of distant lands, ancient empires, and the great minds who shaped the world long before your time. Each line lifts you higher, transporting you on a tide of history, drifting between the thoughts of philosophers, poets, and historians who once pondered the same questions of fate, power, and faith. Time seems to dissolve within these walls. The noisy world outside fades into a distant murmur, leaving you cocooned in a quiet reverence. The velvet dust clings softly to your skin, a delicate reminder of countless hands that have touched these scrolls, of the patience and dedication required to keep the flame of knowledge alive through the centuries. You realize that this place is far more than a repository of books. It is a living testament to the perseverance of the human spirit, a quiet refuge where past and present merge in a timeless embrace. When you finally rise to leave, you carry with you a sense of peace, cradling the gentle weight of these stories like a treasured secret. Outside, the vibrant pulse of the city returns, but inside you remain connected to the silent wisdom of the scrolls, wrapped in the velvet dust of centuries long gone. You stand silently by the narrow window of your chamber, gazing out over the vast expanse of Constantinople as a gentle rain begins to fall softly from the heavy, silvery gray clouds that hang low over the ancient city. The rain arrives like a delicate, steady drumbeat, tapping rhythmically on the countless copper rooftops that stretch endlessly below you, their worn, weathered surfaces shimmering faintly in the muted light of the overcast afternoon. Each drop seems to play a quiet symphony that seeps deep into the very air around you, filling the sprawling city with a calming presence that wraps itself around your shoulders like a soft, cool cloak, comforting in its quiet insistence. The verdigris-coated rooftops glow with a subtle greenish-blue hue, alive for a brief moment beneath the caress of the rain, reflecting and refracting the gentle, diffused light from the heavy sky. In this tranquil pause, the city seems to hold its breath, caught in a suspended moment where time itself slows, honoring the soft blessing of the rain falling gently on its ancient stones and roofs. The scent of wet stone and damp earth drifts steadily through the slightly opened window, mingling with the faint smoke that rises lazily from hearth fires burning in humble homes scattered throughout the surrounding neighborhoods. The rain softens the usually harsh, jagged outlines of the towering city walls and the narrow, twisting streets far below, washing away layers of dust, grime, and the accumulated wear of many dry days under the relentless Mediterranean sun. From your quiet vantage point, you can hear the distant murmur of voices softened by the rain's curtain, the occasional clip-clop of horses' hooves on the slick, uneven cobblestones, and the steady drip-drip of water trickling from gutters, eaves, and stone gutters carved long ago. This natural chorus, paired with the cool, damp air drifting into your room, creates an enveloping sense of peaceful isolation, as though the entire city has been wrapped in a protective blanket of quietude and reverence, a moment of fragile calm meant only for you to witness and feel deeply. You watch with fascination as the rain collects in tiny pools atop the rooftops, the water forming delicate beads that slowly make their way down the gentle slopes of the copper sheets, tracing slow, winding paths like liquid veins flowing toward the gutters and downspouts. The soft metallic gleam of the roofs, dulled by age, weather, and centuries of exposure, contrasts strikingly with the fresh wetness that seems to breathe a fleeting new life into the once dormant surfaces. Occasionally, a sudden flash of lightning illuminates the distant hills beyond the city's protective walls, turning the steady rain into a shimmering curtain of silver threads that seem almost magical, sparkling with a transient energy. Far off, the low rumble of thunder rolls quietly, reminding you of the raw power of the storm spreading beyond the safety and shelter of the city, a stark reminder that nature's wild forces are never far away, even amid human order and stone. Inside your chamber, the presence of the rain is a soothing balm, a quiet companion that calms your restless thoughts and pulls you fully into the present moment. The cool dampness seems to seep into the very stones beneath your feet, grounding you with a steadying weight that draws your mind away from the ceaseless worries and ceaseless motion of daily city life. The steady rhythm of the falling rain encourages your breath to slow and deepen, your heartbeat to settle, as if the very pulse of the storm outside aligns seamlessly with your own. In this intimate space, the world's noise fades away, leaving only the gentle, hypnotic whisper of rain tapping softly on ancient copper, a fleeting pocket of stillness amid the endless flow of time, history, and change that defined Constantinople. As the rain continues its steady descent, you imagine the countless souls living beneath these roofs, each wrapped in their own stories, their fears, their joys, and hopes, all sharing the same quiet comfort brought by the rain's gentle embrace. Traders pause their animated haggling, children press their faces to window panes, wide-eyed and mesmerized, and the many voices of the city soften, blending into a shared silence, all united beneath the tender song of falling water. You realize that for all its grandeur, its chaos, its weighty history, it is these small, hushed moments, the rain's tender kiss on ancient copper, that reveal the true heart of Constantinople, a city that breathes deeply, remembers profoundly, and patiently waits for the storm to pass, knowing that even the fiercest rain will eventually give way to quiet sunlight. The soft knock at your chamber door arrives almost like a whisper, barely audible above the steady patter of raindrops drumming rhythmically on the ancient copper rooftops beyond your window. You turn away from the misted glass, your gaze shifting from the muted, gray light of the rainy afternoon to the flickering flame of the lone candle casting long, wavering shadows across the worn wooden table. The door opens just enough to reveal a young boy standing hesitantly in the threshold, his clothes damp and clinging to his slender frame, the chill of the rain evident in the faint shiver that runs through his body. His wide eyes, a mix of nervousness and determination, meet yours for a brief moment before he steps inside, careful not to disturb the fragile stillness of your quiet chamber. This boy is the apprentice to the candlemaker whose humble shop lies hidden among the twisting alleyways near the bustling market, a place often overlooked but essential to the heartbeat of the city. He moves with a shy, careful grace, the soft patter of his bare feet on the cold stone floor barely audible, as if he fears disturbing the fragile peace that blankets the room like a thin veil. Clutching a bundle wrapped in coarse cloth, he approaches your table and carefully unwraps it to reveal a small collection of freshly made candles, each one still warm and supple from the steady work of shaping and cooling. The rich, comforting scent of beeswax mingles with subtle traces of fragrant herbs, lavender, rosemary, and a hint of myrrh, filling the room with an aroma that seems to hold the very essence of quiet evenings by hearth fires across the city. This scent, so ordinary and yet so deeply evocative, wraps around you like a familiar cloak, inviting calm and reflection as the rain continues its gentle serenade outside. Your eyes roam over the candles, slender tapers perfectly formed, sturdy pillars with smooth, unblemished surfaces, and a few intricately molded shapes, tiny rosettes and delicate leaves, that speak of the apprentice's growing skill and the patient tutelage of his master. The boy's voice is soft but earnest as he recounts the long hours spent tending to the molten wax, stirring it carefully over the flickering hearth fire, dipping the wicks again and again, and patiently waiting for each candle to cool in the cool, shadowed cellar beneath the shop. His words conjure vivid images of a world apart from the noisy streets, the steady crackle of flames, the warm glow that dances on rough stone walls, the slow passage of time marked only by the steady rhythm of his work and the occasional hush shared between master and apprentice as the art of candle making unfolds in deliberate, time-worn ritual. You listen intently, drawn not only to the boy's humble stories but to the deeper truths that lie beneath them. Each candle represents more than mere light. It is a beacon of hope and warmth in the dark hours, a fragile guardian against the ever-present shadows that creep through the city's narrow alleys and towering stone walls. These small flames hold the power to guide the lost, to comfort the weary, and to bring a moment of peace to those who dwell in Constantinople's sprawling labyrinth. Outside, the rain's soft murmur continues unabated, as if nature itself joins in this quiet offering of solace and renewal, reminding you that even in the midst of turmoil and change, there remain steady anchors of care, craft, and quiet perseverance. The apprentice pauses, casting a glance around your chamber, as if taking measure of the sanctuary he has briefly entered, before offering you a tentative smile, shy but sincere, and bowing his head in respectful farewell. He steps back toward the door with the same careful grace, slipping out as silently as he arrived, leaving behind the warm glow of the candles and the gentle, comforting rhythm of the rain. Alone once more, you find yourself lingering in the candlelight's embrace, the flickering shadows on the walls a quiet reminder of the delicate balance between darkness and illumination, vulnerability and resilience. You understand then that this city, with all its sprawling grandeur and endless history, survives because of these small, steadfast moments. The flickering flames nurtured by patient hands, the quiet stories carried through the rain, and the enduring light that refuses to be extinguished. You step softly onto the smooth stones that edge the imperial shore, where the restless sea laps quietly against the ancient walls of the city, a steady, endless rhythm that has echoed for centuries. The damp breeze carries the salty tang of the water, mingling with the distant cries of gulls circling high above the sprawling harbor, their wings cutting through the gray sky like silent sentinels of the coast. Beneath your feet, tiny shells and pebbles, worn smooth and polished by the tireless caress of waves, crunch softly with each careful step you take. The shoreline feels timeless here, an eternal meeting place where land and sea embrace, where the mortal mingles with the divine, and where history's whispers are carried on the breeze. As you walk slowly along the water's edge, the murmurs of the sea soothe your thoughts, weaving a gentle lullaby that carries the memories of countless souls who have wandered this same path before you, seeking solace, reflection, or simply the quiet companionship of the ocean's endless song. The sun, half hidden behind drifting clouds, casts a muted, silvery glow over the rippling water, where each wavelet shimmers like scattered fragments of shattered glass, catching and fracturing light into 1,000 fleeting sparks. You stoop to gather a handful of the tiny shells scattered along the shore, marveling at their delicate spirals and pearly hues, each one a miniature treasure, a fragile echo of the mysterious depths below, formed over endless ages. Their intricate beauty and fragile form contrast sharply with the towering stone ramparts rising nearby, proud and weathered bastions that have withstood the test of time and siege alike. Here, at this liminal edge of empire and eternity, you feel the deep pulse of history beneath your fingers, the whispered stories of emperors and fishermen, traders and monks, all bound together by the ceaseless rhythm of the tides and the unyielding march of time itself. With every step, your senses fill with the subtle symphony of this place, the soft hiss of waves retreating, the gentle clink of pebbles shifting beneath your weight. the faint tolling of distant temple bells mingling with the calls of market vendors packing away their wares as the day winds down. The air is thick with a mingling of scents, the briny sharpness of salt water, the earthy musk of seaweed tangled among the stones, and the faint, herbal notes of wild thyme and rosemary growing stubbornly in the cracks between the rocks. This shore feels alive and breathing, as if the city itself inhales the sea's secrets and exhales the stories it has gathered over centuries. Walking here, you become acutely aware that you are part of an endless dance between stone and water, past and present, a single, fleeting breath in the vast, flowing history of Byzantium that stretches far beyond the horizon. As the light softens and deepens toward dusk, the boundary between sea and sky blurs into a vast, gentle haze of color, the pale blues melting into dusky pinks and golds, while you find a quiet spot where the stones are smoothest and most inviting. Sitting down carefully, you trace the outlines of the shells in your palm, feeling their cool, smooth surfaces soothe your restless mind and steady your breath. The distant horizon stretches endlessly before you, a vast expanse promising both the unknown and the remembered, inviting dreams of voyages yet to come and of those long ended but never forgotten. In this tranquil moment, as the steady, eternal song of the sea hums softly in your ears, you feel a profound peace settle over your soul, a gentle reminder that, even as empires rise and fall, and the world shifts beyond recognition, the shore remains steadfast, offering a place of continuity, calm, and quiet refuge. Here, on these time-worn stones, you find a silent sanctuary, where you can simply be, cradled by the endless, patient embrace of the sea. You find yourself wandering slowly through the labyrinthine alleys of the bustling Byzantine marketplace just as the vibrant chaos begins to soften and settle into a rare, peaceful lull. The once deafening calls of merchants hawking their exotic wares, bright silks from the east, fragrant spices from distant lands, handcrafted pottery glazed with shimmering colors, fade gradually into a distant murmur, like the fading echo of a forgotten song. The rhythmic clatter of wooden carts over uneven cobblestones slows to an occasional creak, and the incessant bargaining voices, full of urgency and passion, taper off into gentle whispers carried away by the warm afternoon breeze. Around you, the rich aroma of fresh herbs, thyme, oregano, and rosemary, mingles with the heady scents of ripe figs, sun-warmed olives, and the lingering trace of olive oil that clings to the rough wooden stalls. Golden beams of late afternoon sunlight spill through narrow gaps between time-worn awnings, casting long, slanting shadows that dance softly on the worn, stone-paved streets, lending the scene an almost ethereal glow. In this precious moment of calm, the marketplace exhales deeply, as if catching its breath before the next day's vibrant symphony of noise, color, and life begins anew. Your footsteps echo lightly as you tread carefully across the smooth stones, worn uneven by centuries of hurried feet, toward the very heart of the square where the once vibrant stalls, now half emptied, stand quiet and abandoned. The bright, dazzling fabrics that shimmered like jewels in the morning sun are now folded and packed away, their colors muted in the gentle shadow of the setting sun. You pause beside a stall still adorned with luscious pomegranates, their ruby-red skins catching the soft light and glowing like precious gems amidst the fading daylight. Gently, you reach out and let your fingers brush over one, feeling its cool, smooth surface and the slight give beneath your touch, a promise of sweetness hidden beneath that tough exterior. Nearby, an elderly vendor methodically sweeps away the dust and fallen leaves from the cracked, uneven tiles beneath his stall, his movements slow and rhythmic, almost meditative, as if the very act of sweeping is a prayer whispered to the gods for another day of trade and survival. In the distance, the plaintive sound of a lute's strings being plucked drifts faintly through the alleys, mingling with the soft laughter of children playing near a fountain just out of sight, their carefree joy a fleeting contrast to the weary world of the marketplace. In this rare and fleeting moment, The marketplace sheds its frantic exterior to reveal a gentler, softer soul, a place of quiet reflection, a pause between the relentless pulse of commerce and the stillness of approaching night. As you explore further, the muted tones of the emptied stalls blend seamlessly with the earthen colors of the surrounding buildings, walls weathered and cracked by years of sun, rain, and the passing seasons, their faded frescoes and crumbling mosaics telling silent stories of generations long past. You stop to gaze at a fragment of mosaic tucked away in a quiet corner, the tiny tesserae shimmering faintly as they catch the last rays of sunlight. The intricate patterns and subtle colors speak of an era when even the smallest details were crafted with reverence, patience, and an artist's love, a sharp contrast to the hurried commerce that fills the air by day. The gentle breeze carries with it the mingling sense of roasting chestnuts from a distant vendor's stall, blending with the sweet aroma of crushed herbs being ground in a mortar nearby, their scents drifting like invisible threads weaving a fragrant tapestry around you. All around, the noisy hum of the city slows to a peaceful murmur, like a lullaby softly sung to soothe the restless hearts of those who live and work within these ancient walls. In this tender moment, the soul of Byzantium reveals itself not as a grand empire of stone and gold, but as a living, breathing mosaic of simple, human moments, fleeting peace, whispered dreams, and the steady passage of countless days marked only by the turning of the sun. As the sun dips lower, painting the sky with strokes of rose, amber, and violet, you find a quiet spot near the central fountain, where the stones are worn smooth from centuries of visitors. Sitting down, you watch the last droplets of water catch the fading light, glinting like scattered diamonds before they fall silently back into the basin below. The murmurs of the city fade into a soft hush, and for a moment, time itself seems to pause, lingering in the gentle embrace of the marketplace's lull. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the mingled scents and sounds, letting the soft warmth of this quiet hour soothe your spirit and calm your restless thoughts. Though tomorrow will bring the clamor and chaos of a new day, this rare interlude reminds you that even in the heart of a vast empire, moments of stillness and peace remain, a quiet sanctuary, a refuge where the soul can rest, gather strength, and dream of all the days yet to come. You step softly through the narrow, shadowed lane of the upper quarter, drawn by the faint rhythmic clacking that dances in the warm air, a sound both familiar and soothing, like the heartbeat of this ancient city. The modest workshop lies nestled between time-worn stone buildings, its wooden door slightly ajar, revealing slivers of golden afternoon light filtering through small, latticed windows. As you enter, a gentle wave of scents washes over you, the earthy aroma of flax fibers, the subtle sweetness of beeswax from polished loom frames, and the faint tang of natural dyes, deep indigos, rusty ochres, and muted crimsons, that speak of distant lands and secret recipes passed down through countless generations. The room itself is humble yet alive, its walls lined with spools of colorful yarn, bundles of raw wool, and delicate sketches pinned carefully to the rough plaster, each a fragment of the weaver's world, an unspoken dialogue between artisan and craft. In the very center, the loom stands as both tool and altar, a frame of polished wood etched with faded carvings and worn smooth by the steady hands that have worked it for years beyond counting. You watch, entranced, as the weaver's hands move with serene confidence, fingers nimble and practiced, weaving threads into patterns that seem to breathe with life. Each shuttle passes deftly through the taut warp, weaving the weft with a rhythmic precision that echoes the distant chants of the city's churches and the soft rustle of olive trees in the breeze. The colors blend and swirl beneath her touch, deep azure blues that remind you of the Aegean Sea's calm depths, ochres warmed by the golden light of the afternoon sun, and soft reds whispering stories of ancient triumphs and quiet reverence. The intricate geometric shapes and stylized motifs speak of Byzantine artistry at its most intimate, a silent language woven in silk and wool, where each stitch holds the memory of hands long gone and the hope of generations yet to come. You become aware of the stillness surrounding the workshop, the faint hum of the city muted behind thick stone walls, the gentle tapping of the shuttle the only sound breaking the quiet. Time seems to slow here, each moment stretched thin like the delicate threads held between the weaver's fingers. You notice the way her fingers move, graceful yet purposeful, as if guided by a wisdom beyond words, a deep understanding of the material's spirit and the craft's sacred rhythm. The loom's frame creaks softly, a living thing breathing with the slow, steady cadence of creation. Around you, shafts of light catch dust motes floating lazily through the air, gilding the workshop with a tranquil, almost otherworldly glow. Nearby, a bundle of freshly spun yarn rests patiently on a rough-hewn bench, its strands waiting to be woven into fabric that will one day become cloaks, tunics, or ceremonial veils, garments imbued with stories and prayers, worn by the humble and the noble alike. As the afternoon deepens into evening, the weaver pauses briefly, lifting her gaze to meet yours with eyes soft and kind, framed by wisps of silver hair escaping beneath her faded headscarf. Her voice is low, a gentle murmur that blends seamlessly with the ambient silence. She speaks of the ancient patterns she weaves, symbols of protection, prosperity, and faith that have guarded her family and community through centuries of upheaval and peace. Her words carry the weight of countless untold histories, whispered in the language of thread and color, a living testament to the enduring spirit of Byzantium's people. Outside, the distant call to evening prayer drifts faintly through the air, mingling with the subtle rustle of olive branches brushing against sun-warmed walls. The light softens to a muted amber, and shadows lengthen, wrapping the workshop in a gentle embrace of twilight. The steady rhythm of the loom continues, a quiet heartbeat against the approaching silence of night, as you rise slowly to leave this sanctuary of patience and art. Carrying the memory of those quiet hands and the sacred dance of weaving with you, you step back into the narrowing streets, feeling the deep, unspoken strength woven into every thread and every silent moment. You step through the narrow stone archway leading into the portico garden, a secluded sanctuary tucked away from the relentless hum of the city's busy streets. The evening air wraps around you like a soft, cool blanket, carrying the faint, heady scent of blooming jasmine mingled with the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil and crushed olive leaves. Overhead, rows of lanterns sway gently from the heavy wooden beams of the portico roof, their flickering flames casting warm, golden pools of light that dance and ripple across the weathered marble columns and onto the intricate mosaic floors beneath your feet. The mosaic tiles, a patchwork of tiny, colored stones worn smooth by countless footsteps through centuries past, shimmer under the lantern glow, revealing hints of forgotten tales, emperors, poets, and philosophers whose shadows still linger in these quiet halls. Each step you take along the cool stone path muffles beneath your feet, and the steady rhythm of your breathing becomes a quiet harmony with the gentle rustle of olive branches and the soft murmur of the fountain at the garden's center, weaving a delicate symphony of sound that soothes and calms. The garden beds brim with blossoms whose subtle fragrances fill the night air, muted by the soft lantern light to shades of lavender, blush, and cream, roses unfolding their petals slowly, oleanders standing tall and proud, and wisps of lavender swaying lightly in the breeze. The gentle murmur of water from the fountain offers a steady counterpoint to the evening's stillness, its cool splash sending ripples over smooth stones that catch the lantern light like scattered stars. Beyond the garden walls, the distant sea breathes in steady, slow waves, the faint salt air mixing with the garden's perfume and drawing your gaze outwards to the fading horizon where sea meets sky in a hazy blur of twilight blues and grays. Time seems to slow here, measured not by the restless urgency of the city but by the languid pulse of the night, wrapped in a tender embrace of shadow and flame. You pause beside a worn stone bench, its surface etched with the soft indentations of hands long gone, where many before you have found momentary peace in this hidden refuge of serenity and reflection. Above, the lanterns flicker and sway as a breeze weaves through the portico, their flames leaping like tiny guardians of this sacred space. You watch the light playing across the ancient carvings on the marble columns, saints and angels frozen in eternal prayer, their serene faces watching silently over the garden's quiet beauty. The interplay of light and shadow crafts an almost sacred atmosphere, as if the garden itself breathes with the prayers and hopes of generations. Tiny creatures move within the folds of shadow and light. A delicate moth flutters toward the lantern's glow, its fragile wings catching sparks of flame. A lizard slips across the warm stones, silent as a whisper. Somewhere beyond the garden walls, a night bird calls softly to its mate, adding a gentle song to the quiet tapestry of life woven here. Each small presence enriches the garden's breath, reminding you that life persists in even the most hidden corners, resilient and enduring amid the passing centuries. As the night deepens, you breathe in the calm that saturates the air, feeling the garden's quiet pulse steadying your own heartbeat. The lantern's light grows more intimate, shadows blending seamlessly into pools of soft gold and deep blue, inviting you to linger in this fragile moment suspended between day and night. Beneath the protective arches of the portico, you sense the delicate balance that defines this place. Light and shadow, stillness and motion, memory and present, all woven together into a living tapestry of beauty and resilience. Closing your eyes briefly, you let the cool night air wash over your skin, the soft sounds and scents surrounding you like a gentle lullaby. In this quiet sanctuary, surrounded by flickering lanterns and ancient stone, you become part of a timeless story, carried on the breath of the past and the steady glow of 1,000 silent lights, a whispered promise of peace in the heart of Byzantium. You carefully push open the heavy, weathered wooden doors of the scriptorium, entering a hushed sanctuary where the passage of time feels slowed, as if centuries have gathered here and paused in reverent silence beneath the soaring vaulted ceilings. The air wraps around you, thick and warm, heavy with the mingling scents of ancient parchment, rich beeswax, and the faint trace of fading ink, an aroma so deep and evocative it seems to settle into your very bones, weaving memories of forgotten hands and long-ago prayers into your breath. Before you, rows upon rows of sturdy oak desks stretch like quiet sentinels, their surfaces scattered with open manuscripts, quills, inkpots, and scraps of vellum, all softly illuminated by the golden flicker of countless candles, their flames trembling gently, casting a warm, almost sacred glow that waltzes and shivers across the worn stone walls, softening the cold edges of the room into an inviting haven of light and shadow. You inhale deeply, savoring the subtle bouquet of beeswax mixed with the dry, dusty smell of old paper, a scent that carries the weight of countless hours of meticulous labor, of scribes hunched over their desks in meditative focus. Around you, the room hums with a quiet rhythm, the barely audible scratch of quills delicately tracing ink on fragile vellum, the soft turning of brittle pages, the whispered exchange of words between monks whose voices are hushed to a reverent murmur, all blending seamlessly into the profound stillness that envelopes this sacred chamber. Your eyes move from the flickering candlelight to the steady hands that craft exquisite letters and illuminations, each stroke deliberate and filled with purpose, breathing life into words that will endure far beyond the fleeting present, bridging the distant past and the unknown future. This is no mere room of writing. It is a temple of preservation, where faith and knowledge intertwine in the quiet artistry of ink and parchment. You reach out and touch the spine of a nearby manuscript resting on a carved wooden lectern, the leather cracked and worn smooth by centuries of gentle handling. As you carefully open the tome, the pages sigh softly, brittle yet resilient, revealing elegant script and intricate illuminations painted in vibrant hues of lapis lazuli, gold leaf, and deep crimson. The smell of beeswax clings faintly to the edges of the pages, a subtle reminder of the countless candles burned to light the way through long nights of copying sacred texts and preserving precious knowledge. Each page bears the marks of devotion and patience, the delicate fingerprints of monks who dedicated their lives to the slow, reverent transmission of wisdom through the ages. You imagine their steady breaths, the occasional rustle of robes, the faint scrape of quills, all mingling in this hallowed space where time folds back on itself and the past lives on in every line of ink, every margin note, every delicate brushstroke. Settling at a worn wooden desk, you allow yourself to be drawn deeper into the tranquil atmosphere, the flickering candlelight reflecting in your eyes as you lose yourself in the delicate dance of light and shadow on the manuscript's fragile pages. Outside the scriptorium, the sounds of the monastery fade into a distant, rhythmic chant and the occasional creak of ancient timbers, while inside, the steady scratching of quills and the soft rustle of parchment create a soothing symphony of focused creation. Here, time is measured not by the tolling of bells or the passage of day into night, but by the deliberate, meditative rhythm of ink meeting page, a pulse as steady and enduring as the faith that sustains this place. The scent of beeswax and old paper wraps around you like a warm, familiar cloak, comforting and timeless, inviting you to lose yourself in the whispered stories held within these fragile pages, stories that have survived wars, plagues, and the relentless march of empires to speak gently to you now, in this quiet, sacred moment suspended between history and eternity. You find yourself standing before the ancient cloister gate, the heavy ironwork twisting in intricate patterns worn smooth by countless hands that have passed this way over generations. The late afternoon sun dips low behind the city walls, casting long shadows that stretch like slow fingers across the worn stone pathway beneath your feet. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and fading blooms from the monastery garden beyond the gate, mingling with the faint aroma of burning wood and distant sea salt carried on a gentle breeze. As the dusk deepens, the world seems to hush around you, the noises of the day retreating into a soft murmur, leaving only the quiet whispers of stone and sky to speak. Your fingers brush lightly over the cold iron bars, the texture rough and real beneath your touch, grounding you in this moment suspended between day and night, between the bustle of the city and the sacred stillness enclosed by these walls. Through the open spaces of the gate, you glimpse the cloister's peaceful courtyard, where ancient olive trees stretch their gnarled limbs toward the darkening sky, their leaves whispering secrets in the evening wind. Narrow cobblestone paths meander through carefully tended flower beds, their colors muted now under the fading light but still holding the delicate shapes and soft hues of white lilies, deep purple irises, and golden marigolds. The stone benches scattered beneath archways of climbing ivy offer quiet refuge, places where monks and visitors alike have paused to reflect, pray, or simply breathe in the serenity that seems to grow heavier with the coming night. Somewhere nearby, the faint toll of a bell calls the faithful to evening prayers. Its slow, sonorous peal rippling gently across the cloister and mingling with the rustling of leaves and the soft footsteps of someone crossing the courtyard. As dusk settles fully, a coolness creeps into the air, softening the edges of the day's warmth and wrapping the cloister in a delicate shroud of twilight calm. You feel the weight of history here, centuries of whispered prayers, secret conversations, and silent vows held within these walls. The gate itself stands as both barrier and threshold, marking the boundary between the sacred and the secular, the known and the mysterious. Beyond it lies the bustling city with its markets, cries, and endless movement, while inside waits a world where time slows and faith deepens in quiet solitude. You linger a moment longer, your breath visible in the chill that begins to gather, watching the sky deepen from pale gold to twilight blue, stars beginning to prickle faintly overhead. Here, at this gate, you are reminded of the fragile balance between light and shadow, noise and silence, the sacred and the everyday, a balance that defines this place and the lives lived within it. With a final glance at the soft glow of candles flickering through the cloister's arched windows, you turn away from the gate and the gathering night, carrying with you the lingering calm and the quiet promise of rest that dusk brings to this ancient sanctuary. The world outside may be loud and restless, but here, behind these walls, peace holds sway, and you find yourself wrapped in the tender embrace of evening's gentle hush. You stand just beyond the great hall's massive wooden doors, feeling the thick stone walls resonate faintly with the echoes of distant footsteps and whispered preparations. The air is heavy with anticipation, a quiet tension that seems to gather and pulse like the slow, steady beat of a heart before a long-awaited moment. Outside, the sky deepens into a rich indigo, the last light of day fading as the evening settles over the city, and inside, the great hall waits in hushed expectancy, its vast space draped with tapestries woven in rich colors, their threads shimmering faintly in the soft glow of flickering candlelight. The long tables stretch in perfect rows, their polished surfaces bare for now but soon to be laden with the bounty of the feast, platters piled high with roasted meats, fragrant breads, golden cheeses, and bowls brimming with fruits and nuts, all promising comfort and celebration after the day's toil. You breathe deeply, savoring the subtle smells that drift from the kitchens beyond the hall, the savory aroma of spiced wine simmering gently in huge cauldrons, the sweet scent of honey and dried figs mingling with the warm, yeasty perfume of freshly baked bread. The murmur of cooks and servants carries faintly on the air, the rustling of cloth and the clinking of pots and pans creating a quiet symphony of preparation that fills the corridors and spills into the open spaces like a gentle tide. Yet despite this movement, an almost sacred stillness hangs in the hall itself, as if the very stones hold their breath, waiting for the moment when voices will rise in laughter, glasses will clink, and the feast will come alive with the sounds of companionship and gratitude. In this long silence before the celebration, you feel a deep sense of connection to all those who have gathered here before you, lords and ladies, servants and guests, bound by the rhythms of tradition and the simple joy of shared abundance. The flickering candle flames cast dancing shadows across the carved wooden panels, their light catching on the intricate patterns and gilded accents that speak of centuries of care and craftsmanship. You run your fingers lightly over the smooth surface of a chair back nearby, worn by countless hands and softened by the passage of time, and in that touch, you sense the countless stories woven into this place, the whispered intrigues, the solemn vows, the moments of joy and sorrow that have left their marks invisible to the eye but tangible to the soul. Outside, the faint sounds of a harp and lute drift from a distant chamber, their gentle melodies weaving through the quiet and adding a layer of grace and anticipation to the evening's stillness. It is a moment suspended between the day's labors and the night's celebrations, a pause filled with promise and the weight of history, inviting you to breathe deeply and prepare yourself for the feast to come. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the calm wash over you, the silence a balm to the senses after the bustle of the day. The long hall waits, a vessel ready to be filled with life and laughter, stories told and retold across the flickering candlelight. And as the first strains of music grow louder and the doors begin to creak open, you step forward, carrying with you the quiet strength and anticipation born in this long, sacred silence, a prelude to the warmth and fellowship that will soon fill this ancient hall. As the feast slowly fades behind you and the great hall quiets to a gentle hush, you find yourself wandering through the cool, shadowed corridors of the palace, your footsteps soft against the smooth marble floor. Though the night air outside carries a chill, here within these thick stone walls, the marble beneath your feet holds a gentle, lingering warmth, a subtle heat absorbed from the day's sun and the fires that have burned steadily in the hearths. This unexpected comfort seeps into your very bones, grounding you after the feast's bustle and the evening's laughter, wrapping you in a quiet serenity that feels both ancient and intimate. The faint glow of oil lamps flickers along the walls, casting elongated shadows that stretch and shift like living things, while the distant murmur of night watchmen and the occasional soft creak of settling wood remind you that life continues, steady and unbroken, even as the city sleeps. Your fingers trail along the cold stone pillars that rise like silent sentinels beside you, their surfaces worn smooth by centuries of touch and time. You pause for a moment beneath an arched window, peering out into the night where the moon hangs low and bright, its pale light spilling silver over the city's rooftops and reflecting softly on the calm waters of the nearby harbor. The contrast between the cool moonlight and the gentle warmth of the marble beneath your feet creates a delicate balance, a reminder of the day's passing and the quiet stillness of night that follows. The palace itself seems to breathe with a slow, measured rhythm, the ancient stones holding memories of countless nights like this one, where silence and warmth combine to offer solace and peace to those who walked these halls long ago and those who walk them now. As you continue down the corridor, the soft padding of your steps is accompanied by the faint scent of beeswax from recently polished floors and the lingering fragrance of jasmine that drifts in from a distant garden. Every detail of this nightscape, the interplay of light and shadow, the gentle warmth beneath your feet, the soothing aromas, draws you deeper into a state of calm reflection. Here, in this quiet sanctuary, you feel a profound connection to the endless flow of time, the unbroken chain of lives and stories that have passed through this place, each leaving a trace in the stone and air. The marble floor beneath you is not just cold stone, it is a keeper of secrets, a silent witness to the passage of days and nights, to the rise and fall of empires, to the small, intimate moments that stitch together the fabric of history. You stop briefly before an ornately carved doorway, your breath visible in the cool night air that seeps through the narrow cracks. The marble floor's warmth pulses faintly beneath your feet, a comforting presence in the quiet dark. For a moment you close your eyes and let the stillness envelop you, the gentle heat a reminder that even in the deepest night, the world holds spaces of quiet comfort and enduring strength. When you open your eyes, the palace stands before you as a timeless sanctuary, its marble floors warmed by the sun's memory, and the echoes of lives long past, inviting you to rest, to remember, and to dream beneath the silent watch of the stars. You lie back gently upon the soft cushions of your chamber, the walls around you glowing faintly with the golden light that filters through the intricately painted glass windows. Above, the great gilded dome stretches wide, its mosaics shimmering in the lamplight like a constellation of ancient stars scattered across a deep, celestial sky. The subtle gleam of gold leaf and vibrant hues seem to breathe with a quiet life of their own, casting delicate patterns that dance slowly and peacefully as you close your eyes. Outside, the distant sounds of the city fade into a soft murmur, replaced by the calm stillness of night that wraps itself around you like a warm, protective cloak. Every breath you take slows, deepens, as your body sinks further into the comforting embrace of your bed, your mind gently drifting toward the realm of dreams beneath this majestic ceiling. The air in your chamber is cool but not cold, carrying the faint fragrance of lavender and myrrh, scents carefully chosen to ease the mind and invite rest. Your hands rest lightly on the embroidered linens, their fine threads telling stories of skilled hands and time-honored tradition. As your eyelids grow heavier, you become aware of the quiet rhythm of the palace at night, the slow, steady heartbeat of a place that has witnessed centuries of life, love, and loss. Somewhere beyond the walls, a single candle flickers, its flame small but unwavering, much like the enduring spirit of this ancient city. The gilded dome above seems to pulse softly in the darkness, a gentle guardian watching over you as sleep pulls you deeper into its tender embrace, transporting you through quiet corridors of memory and imagination. You feel a profound peace settle over your entire being, the worries and labors of the day melting away like morning mist under the rising sun. Here, beneath the opulent dome, the world narrows to this perfect moment of surrender, where time seems to pause, and the boundaries between reality and dreams blur. The subtle shimmer of the mosaics mingles with the whispered prayers of the night, the soft rustle of silk, and the distant hoot of an owl perched somewhere in the shadowed eaves. You let yourself drift, free from all cares, buoyed by the knowledge that tomorrow will bring a new dawn, new stories, and new chances to walk the ancient streets of this eternal city. For now, all that matters is the gentle quiet, the soft glow, and the soothing weight of sleep beneath the gilded dome. As your breathing slows and deepens further, your thoughts grow softer, like a fading melody carried on a breeze. The golden mosaics seem to close in around you, wrapping you in a cocoon of light and warmth that promises protection through the darkest hours. In this sacred silence, you are cradled by centuries of history and hope, connected to countless souls who have found rest here before you. And as you finally surrender to the sweet pull of slumber, the gilded dome above watches quietly, its shimmering light a silent benediction upon your dreams, guiding you gently into the realm where all stories live forever in peaceful stillness. Thank you for joining me on this gentle journey through the timeless beauty of Byzantium. May these quiet moments bring you rest and comfort whenever you need them. If you've enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you won't miss the next serene adventure we'll share together. Until then, may your nights be peaceful, your dreams rich, and your heart calm beneath every starry sky. Good night, dear friend.